What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the NFL Draft Grading Marathon, talking about who got the best values, the best players to improve their team the most in the 2019 NFL Draft. Quick reminder to like that video. Also use promo code ThatFranchiseGuy when shopping for tickets on SeatGeek, where you should be shopping for your tickets to get the best prices and the best seats. So let's kick off the AFC grades here in the West with the Denver Broncos, who had a very, very exciting draft. Excited to dig in here. So they were sitting here at number 10. To their credit, they did not take Drew Lock earlier than they had to. Many people expected them to do that. Would not have surprised me at all, but they were smart about it. They moved down, got really good draft capital, got a second-round pick and a future third from the Steelers to move down to the 20th pick and still get a player that I'm sure they were considering at number 10. So a slam dunk move there. Move down, get a mismatch problem for Joe Flacco, an elite weapon at that size who can really create some nice things in that offense. We know with that offensive line, which is just okay, you're not really looking for an elite vertical threat, though Noah Fant can do some nice things up the seam. I'm really excited about what he's going to do as a catch and run weapon out of the slot, also as a tight end obviously as well. But going to be, too fast for most linebackers and too big for most defensive backs. So going to be a really nice weapon there. We know Joe Flacco loves his tight ends, but also for Drew Lock, who they got here in the second round. We'll talk about that. But a nice weapon to improve that surrounding core because they have some nice receivers, but I think they did need one more big weapon, and this was it. And then I love the Dalton Risner pick with the 9th pick in the second round. Safe, stud lineman, can play guard or tackle. Huge need for this team. They lost Matt Paradise at center. They lost Billy Turner, who was a good impact for this team last year. So whether he plays center, guard, or tackle, he is just a really safe player, and I think going to be a really, tenured stud here in Denver, and is going to help that surrounding core to develop maybe a more raw prospect like Drew Lock, because Denver has really failed at developing their draft picks at the quarterback position. And I love getting Drew Lock here, a high upside pick for a second round pick. Most people thought he was a first round value. Long story short, you now have a good surrounding core. You have a, starting caliber quarterback ahead of him, so he's not going to be forced into starting before he's ready, which can really take away a guy's confidence. Ironically, my comparison for him was Jay Cutler, who Denver ended up drafting a long time ago. And, looking back on it, if you can get Jay Cutler in the second round, I don't think you really, regret that. So really excited to see Drew Lock develop here, see if John Elway can finally get this thing right, and I think he's doing it the right way now, kind of for the first time. Everything else has been a little antsy, and I just didn't necessarily believe in the players he was going with. I kind of believe in Drew Lock. I wouldn't, stake my future on it, but that's why I love it here in the second round. Also a reminder, I will be doing a Madden rebuild of the Denver Broncos. Excited to see what we can do after this draft. Was kind of waiting to see if they would have an exciting draft, because this is a team we are targeting to rebuild, and I think this draft was exciting enough to do that rebuild. So that will probably be getting kicked off sometime this week, which I'm really excited for. Anyway, let's keep moving. Draymond Jones, loved this pick. I had a time was mocking him in the first round. An elite interior athlete. I think he's perfect fit in this scheme as a 3-4 defensive end. Very similar prospect to like Malik Jackson if he gains a little bit of weight. And this defense really hasn't been quite the same without that elite kind of pile driver in the middle. Now, Draymond, a little different of a player, but just that explosiveness on the inside I think is going to be kind of an X factor up front for this pass rush, who's really good off the edge, but was kind of missing one more piece on the inside there, and I think they nailed it here in the third round with Draymond Jones. If he's a multiple-time Pro Bowler for this Denver defense, would not surprise me in the slightest. Then they grab an edge out of Oregon, really athletic guy. Going to be interesting to see what a guy with that kind of burst and bend can turn into now, learning under Von Miller, who uses those tools to his absolute advantage. Could turn into something or could be nothing here, Justin Hollins. And then Juwan Winfrey grabbing a local kid out of Colorado to beef up that wide receiver room. So at the end of the day, we're giving the Denver Broncos an A. Quarterback, obviously a need for this team, but I like that they didn't do what the Giants did and blow their load early. They load up on assets where the value was, put a better team around this quarterback, a better offensive line, an elite weapon. You now will sit him under Joe Flacco, and I think they're doing things the right way to potentially have a franchise quarterback now in Drew Lock. I'd be very happy about this draft if I were a Broncos fan. Should be able to compete this year with that great defense. Draymond Jones, a good addition there, but also have some more hope for the future. As we all know, Joe Flacco, not really the future there in Denver, more of a Band-Aid. So then we've got the LA Chargers. Sorry, Rams fans, or just people in LA in general. I know I misspelled Los Angeles. Us stupid Midwestern folk just don't know how to speak your lingo, I guess. Anyway, the LA Chargers here in the first round, they grabbed Jerry Tillery. Totally understood this pick. Now, I did have a second round grade on Jerry Tillery, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers did too, but a lot of interior defensive linemen fell off the board. Dexter Lawrence was gone. Christian Wilkins gone. Jeffrey Simmons gone. Tillery was kind of the clear choice here for a Chargers team that needs someone that can plug right in there and help them defend on the interior of that defense, because on the outside, the shell of that defense, it's elite, and the edge rush is elite, but there was a gaping hole up the middle of that defense that the Patriots absolutely exploited in the playoffs, and they got the best player available to do that. So I like that they took the guy that they needed. It's hard to say the value wasn't there because guys were falling off the board, and this is supply and demand. So a good pick. I just don't know if he's going to be a first round talent. He certainly has the upside to develop that, but I'm not entirely sold on him being an elite interior defensive lineman. He does remind me a little bit of Corey Lugitt, who he will be replacing here. I still think, though, this team would benefit from finding a way to sign like Ndamukong Suh to help secure the inside of that defense. But then they kind of make up for the value by getting Nasir Adderley here in the second, who I might have advised them to take in the first round. He's kind of like Derwin James, and I actually liked him better coming into a situation where he can kind of play closer to the line of scrimmage. He's really good in both zone and man coverage. Instinctive playmaker. Does kind of lack that long speed. I don't know if he's going to be a great free safety where he'll play a lot of here. And this team used a ton of, 3-4 safety sets. So he's not going to be stuck as just a free safety as like an Earl Thomas in this defense. They have other players as well that can play that role, but he will play a lot of that. And I think he can be a good player at that. But his versatility is going to be really nice for this Chargers defense. Against the Ravens, they basically brought 3 safeties into the box and forgot the linebacker position. And with Adderley and Derwin James, you're going to be able to do a lot of creative things with this defense, and that's going to be really nice. And then in the third round, they grabbed Trey Pipkins. Thought it was interesting. This team picked 28th in every round. No traded picks, no compensatory picks, no picks switching their draft position due to tiebreakers. Just, keeping it textbook here, 28, 28, 28, 28, 28, 28, 28. But Trey Pipkins here, kind of an elite athlete out of Sioux Falls. I wouldn't have minded for them to get a guy that I'm more comfortable starting at right tackle, but that's very hard to find, and he very well could be good. I had a 4th round grade on him, so a good value here. Definitely needed a starting tackle. If I do have a criticism of what they did in the first round, it's that they did not take Jawan Taylor. But there's some injury concerns there. The Chargers have had enough injuries on that offensive line, so I get why you don't go there. Pipkin's a high-risk, high-reward type of pick here, but I like it in the 3rd round. And then Drew Tranquill, 4th round, linebacker out of Notre Dame. Good, balanced athlete. Could start here. Could be a reliever, kind of the 4th or 3rd guy on that depth chart. Good player, good pick. Then they grab a backup quarterback, Easton Stick. Find it interesting that they've tried to get a little more mobile. It doesn't really, it's not very consistent with how that offense is built around Phillip Rivers, but they now have Tyrod Taylor, Easton Stick as their backups. I like Easton Stick. I think he could have a long career as a backup quarterback in this league, something like a Case Keenum. I don't really have a take on why they're going with more mobile guys, as opposed to drafting a guy like Ryan Finley to kind of replace, or at least, hold steady to the scheme with Phillip Rivers in there. More just an observation, could be something keying to their plans for the future. Moving on from Phillip Rivers, they may want a more mobile, modern quarterback. Then in the 6th round, they grab kind of a flexible linebacker prospect, pretty much a poor man's Uchenna Nwosu, who they took, 2nd, 3rd round last year, had a really nice rookie year. He's going to essentially just be his backup. He's kind of that edge, oversized linebacker type, going to be kind of that 4-3 odd guy that can rush the passer a little bit, be a good run defender, drop back in coverage. So they definitely like that type of player in that role on their defense. So this is security for Nwosu. And then Cortez Broughton, an interior lineman that did not make my draft board, so they beef up the depth there on the D line. So overall, just a really solid draft. Really went need heavy here. Would have liked to see them improve that offensive line a little more because it's kind of an eyesore with an otherwise really elite offense. Phillip Rivers always going to be better with a little extra time to throw because he's not really extending too many plays with those legs. But regardless, a really good draft for the Chargers. We're going to give them a B. Love the Adderley pick in the second round. Then we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. They traded their first round pick for Frank Clark. I gave that move a C just because they gave up a lot to do that. They gave him the $20 million contract. And considering you let D Ford, you trade him away for the pick that you end up, I think, trading for Seattle, or at least a future second was exchanged there. And then you also let Justin Houston go, who the Colts, believe that he can still play. And you give up the 29th pick here to pay Frank Clark, and it turned out you could have had Greedy Williams here at 29. So I do think that they may have been kind of pounding their head on the walls a little bit when they saw the corners that fell here. I don't know if they expected that when they traded this pick away. But then in the second round, they take Mecole Hardman. We actually predicted this. A quick little tap on my back. Insurance for Tyreek Hill. They are very scared that Tyreek Hill is not going to play. We know that is an integral part of this offense. The trick plays the misdirections that Kansas City runs is elite. And Andy Reid's play calling, obviously Patrick Mahomes is incredible and he makes the whole thing run, but this offense would not have looked the same without the, speed factor of Tyreek Hill and always having to worry about where he was going to be on every play. So Mecole Hardman will play that role. He's going to develop as a deep threat, I'm sure, just as Tyreek Hill did. And if Tyreek Hill does not play next year, which honestly it looks like right now he is not, you are able to at least fill that role and be able to run the same things you were able to do last year and keep being creative. But, obviously that is not going to be good losing Tyreek Hill. But Mecole Hardman, the perfect fit to replace that if that was necessary. So I like that pick a lot. And then Juan Thornhill, D-back out of Virginia. Versatile piece. I like him as a slot corner, box safety. They're going to move him around a lot with Tyrann Mathieu. And it looks like Mathieu actually is going to play a little more traditional free safety here. Both these guys are so versatile and they're so fast and instinctive. I see these guys having a very flexible role in this defense. Then with the 21st pick in the third round, Kalen Saunders, a little bit reminiscent of the Chris Jones pick. A different player, but a freak athlete, third round pick. This is right where I pegged him to go. He's a little more like a Mike Daniels, kind of that short, compact, powerful dude. But his style's a little different. He doesn't always use that explosion. I think if he can get coached up to really explode off the ball as opposed to kind of standing up and being more of a hand fighter and using that raw strength to just kind of assess the play, I like him better if he can be like Mike Daniels and just blow people off the ball, use that low 6-foot frame with those long arms, and become a really nice piece next to Chris Jones. So I loved that pick. Then you got to go all the way to the 6th round, Rashad Fenton, kind of a raw corner, whatever. Then Darwin Thompson with the 42nd pick in the 6th round. Excellent pick. I love this player. He was on my sleepers list. My comparison for him is Chris Thompson. I don't think he's going to be a 3-down back here, but he's going to see the field a lot in this offense. They're going to be able to do a lot of creative things with his kind of agility, ability to catch the ball, his burst. I love this pick for the Chiefs inside this offense. He's going to cause a lot of headaches next year for a lot of teams, I'm sure. And then Nick Allegretti, really good guard out of Illinois. Definitely sleeper potential and a guy that could find his way to start in the event of injury. I think a good 7th round pick there. Good pass protector. Rare to find good players like that in the 7th round, so I like that pick a lot. So I like the Chiefs draft a lot. You get that impact edge rusher, which is fine. You did give up a lot for it. My only criticism is you are missing out still on, I think, a good outside corner that this team really needed. But they did a really great job capitalizing on value, filling a lot of their needs. So we're going to give this draft an A. Then lastly, the Oakland Raiders. And they really set the tone early here with Clelin Ferrell, which was by pretty much all accounts a reach, but a really good player. They needed that edge rusher. They got rid of Khalil Mack. That edge rush was non-existent last year. So I get it. They wanted to be safe, and they get a good player here. But I've always said in the top 5, I'm picking for guys that are going to change the landscape of an organization. And I don't know if Farrell on the field has the athletic ability to be really a uber superstar. Guys like Devin White, Ed Oliver, even Josh Allen, guys that were available. So the value was just really hard to sell me on this one. Now, I did get, with 24 and 27, you traded away superstar players. And if you draft busts at these spots, that is going to be, a catastrophic mistake. So I understand with those 2 picks specifically, kind of what they were thinking. Get some safer picks here. Josh Jacobs, who's going to be a starting running back for them and probably be really productive and be a quote-unquote star in this league. But the fact of the matter is this team had way too many holes. Offensive line, cornerback, edge rush, still a need even if Farrell turns into a superstar. You still need a second guy. So players at positions of real value that you need to take in the first round because you can't find later in the draft. The Cowboys got Mike Weber, who could be a starting running back in this league, in the 7th round. That is why you do not take Josh Jacobs unless it's a luxury pick. If you're a team like the Eagles or the Colts or the Patriots, like a team that doesn't have all these gaping holes and you can afford to take a star running back. So yeah, Jacobs is going to be a stud, and I love him, and he's going to be fun to watch here in Oakland. But from a draft philosophy, I cannot get behind this. I would have much rather grabbed Dalton Reisner, Jawan Taylor, Elgton Jenkins, a safety like Nasir Adderley, a corner like Byron Murphy or Greedy Williams. I cannot get behind this Josh Jacobs pick. But then anyway, they grabbed Jonathan Abram, and he's a fine player. I gave it a C. Like, he's going to be a good Raider. He'll probably, have a good 7 to 8 year career. He's a great leader. He's a trash talker. He's going to inspire some culture in that locker room. So I understand it, but I had a 2nd round grade on him. I don't think he's very good in coverage. And my biggest problem is he's redundant with Carl Joseph. They're like the same exact player. So from a value perspective, I didn't love that pick either. I would much rather have grabbed a corner here. I think you could still have gotten, Jonathan Abram with the 4th pick in the 2nd round. So I would have much rather taken Byron Murphy or Greedy Williams here at 27 and then hope that Abram falls to me at 2.4. But if he doesn't, there's a lot of good safeties still in this draft. So just value-wise, I really think they failed in the 1st round. But they did get 3 good players, so you can't really rip it apart. I just didn't really like it. And then they take Trayvon Mullen ahead of Greedy Williams, ahead of some other high upside guys. A good smart player. I'm actually higher on Mullen. But, myself, I don't think you can pass on Greedy Williams because he, doesn't tackle. Like, that's such a lame criticism of a corner. They're not paid to tackle. They're paid to cover. And Greedy Williams had elite upside as a cover corner, a guy that could be like a Darius Slay. And Trayvon Mullen's a good outside corner, but I just did not love that pick when Greedy Williams was still on the board. Then you got to fast forward to the 4th round. Things did get a lot better, I thought, later in this draft. I do think they identified good, starting caliber players throughout this draft. So I will credit Mayock for that. Not really any bad picks in this entire draft. So then they get Max Crosby. He's going to fit what they're looking for. Like I said, they need another edge rusher still. He is going to be a nice compliment there to Farrell. A little faster, a little more explosive off the ball. He's kind of a handful and just kind of a badass on the field. Would not be surprised if he ended up starting, which is good for a 4th round pick. Then they take Isaiah Johnson, uber athletic corner out of Houston. A guys at his size should not be able to move as well as he does, so he's a really impressive prospect. Might have to develop a little bit. If there was a kind of swing for the fences pick in this draft, it was him. So I do like that one aggressive move. And then Foster Moreau, excellent pick. This is their best pick of the day. One of my favorite players in this class, a slept-on tight end. Athletic guy. I think he's going to be better catching the ball in college than, in the pros than he was in college. We know LSU just doesn't know how to use position players. So, and Derek Carr is good at, using these tight ends because Derek Carr perennially is like last in the league in, or first in the league, depending how you look at it, at time to throw. He has a cannon arm, but he's not really looking to go deep. He had a good rapport with Jared Cook, and I think Foster Moreau is going to start here and could be one of the up-and-coming star tight ends in this league. something like a George Kittle, who fell about this far in 2017, was it? So then they get first and Renfro here, starting slot receiver in the 5th round. Really nice pick. He's going to be a great complement to those 2 other wide receivers, because you got Tyrell Williams, the deep threat. You got Antonio Brown. Hunter Renfro is going to start right in the slot. Really good pick there in the 5th. And then they grab an edge rusher out of Prairie View A&M that I don't know much about in the 7th round. So we're going to give the whole draft a C+ at the end of the day. You know, I will admit they have so many holes. They did a good job of addressing that and just getting starting players. But I think with those first 4 picks, you had to take a bigger risk at one of those picks than they did. I'm fine going safe because you did have so many holes, but to go really safe with all 4 picks, I don't really know how I feel about that, especially given the superstars that you gave up in Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. So that is the AFC West. Please hit that like button, guys. We're going to do the AFC North next. Cheers as always, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.